Subscribe to my channel for more stories. Now let's begin this one. I thought the town fair would celebrate our family's bakery, a cornerstone of our legacy, until my cousin announced she'd sold it to a national chain, only for me to unveil a contract that exposed her greed and saved our name. My cousin tried to sell our family business at the annual fair, then I showed a contract that shuttered her scheme. At 33, I, Laura Bennett, had woven my life into the fabric of Maplewood Bakery, a cherished institution in Cedar Grove, a small town nestled in the rolling hills of upstate New York. The bakery wasn't just a business. It was a legacy, founded 40 years ago by my parents, Ellen and Frank, who'd turned my grandmother's recipes into a community treasure. The scent of cinnamon rolls wafting from our ovens was as much a part of Cedar Grove as the church bells on Sunday mornings. After Mom's passing from cancer 5 years ago and Dad's retirement to a quiet life gardening, I took over, pouring my heart into every loaf of sourdough, every tiered wedding cake, every batch of cookies shaped by my daughter Mia's tiny hands. My husband, Ben, a high school math teacher with a knack for grilling, was my rock, helping on weekends, his laughter filling the shop as he teased customers about their pie choices. Our daughter, Mia, age 7, was the bakery's unofficial mascot, her apron dusted with flour, her giggles echoing as she tested cookie dough or handed out samples to regulars. The bakery was our family's heartbeat, where Ben proposed over a heart-shaped cake, where Mia took her first steps between flour sacks, where I felt Mom's presence in every knead of dough. My cousin, Vanessa Carter, was a different story. 3 years older, she'd always been the flashy one, chasing dreams of fame and fortune while I stayed grounded in Cedar Grove. Vanessa had left for Albany a decade ago, launching an event planning business that promised glitz but delivered debt. Last summer, she returned, her sleek SUV out of place on our dusty main street, claiming she wanted to reconnect with family. Her designer clothes and city swagger raised eyebrows, but I welcomed her, remembering childhood summers when we'd sneak extra frosting from Mom's mixing bowls. I let her help at the bakery, thinking family meant loyalty. Vanessa charmed customers with her quick wit, her smile disarming even the grumpiest regulars, but I noticed subtle signs, her lingering by the safe, her questions about profits, her notepad scribbled with numbers. "Just curious about the business," she'd say, laughing off my raised eyebrow. I trusted her, my first mistake. Cedar Grove's annual harvest fair was the town's pride, a 3-day celebration of crafts, food, and community, drawing tourists from across the state. Maplewood Bakery's booth was a star attraction, our pastries selling out before noon. This year, Vanessa insisted on managing the booth. "Let me take the lead, Laura," she said, her hazel eyes gleaming with enthusiasm. "I've got ideas to make it shine." I agreed, grateful for the help, focusing on baking enough pies to meet demand. I never suspected she'd use the fair's spotlight to betray us, to try to steal the legacy my family had built with love and sweat. The harvest fair was a kaleidoscope of joy, booths bursting with homemade jams, kids racing for blue ribbons, the air thick with the sweet tang of cotton candy and the sizzle of Ben's burgers on the community grill. Our bakery booth, draped in red and white checkered cloth, was a magnet, its tables piled high with golden croissants, berry tarts, and Mia's favorite oatmeal cookies. Mia, in her tiny apron, handed out samples, her shy smile winning hearts, while I darted between the booth and the bakery's kitchen, replenishing stock. Ben, manning the grill nearby, waved at me, his grin a steady anchor in the chaos. Vanessa, dressed in a tailored blazer that screamed city, took charge of the booth with a flair I envied. She bantered with customers, upsold pies, and kept the line moving, her energy infectious. I was proud, thinking she'd found her place in our family's story. Then, mid-afternoon, she climbed onto the fair's main stage, the microphone amplifying her voice over the crowd. "Cedar Grove, I've got big news for Maplewood Bakery," she announced, her smile wide, her tone triumphant. "We sold to Sweet Tries, a national chain, for $1 million. This ensures our legacy's future." The crowd gasped, a ripple of shock spreading through the fairground. My heart stopped, the tray of muffins in my hands nearly slipping. Sold, our bakery. The place where Mom taught me to braid challah, where Dad's laughter still echoed, where Mia dreamed of baking her own cakes one day. I pushed through the crowd, Ben and Mia trailing, my voice trembling as I reached the stage. "What are you talking about, Vanessa?" I demanded, my chest tight. She turned, her smile faltering for a split second before hardening. "It's done, Laura," she said, holding up a contract, its pages fluttering in the breeze. "I signed the deal as co-manager. It's what's best for the family." The crowd murmured, some clapping hesitantly, others frowning, their loyalty to Maplewood torn. Mayor Tom Riley, a regular who loved our pecan pie, looked stunned, his brow furrowed. Ben gripped my hand, his jaw clenched, his voice low. "She's lying." "Laura." Mia tugged my sleeve, her voice small. "Is our bakery gone, Mommy?" The question gutted me, her wide eyes reflecting my fear. I knew no deal was signed. I held the bakery's title, locked in our safe. Vanessa's contract was a lie, but it looked real, stamped and signed, and I had nothing on hand to counter it. The fair's joy soured, the crowd's pity burning worse than Vanessa's smug nod as she stepped off the stage, leaving us in the wreckage of her announcement. We left the fair in a daze, the crowd's whispers trailing us like shadows. At home, in our cozy kitchen where Mom's recipe cards still lined the counter, Ben was furious, his usual calm replaced by a fire I rarely saw. "She's scamming us, Laura," he said, pacing. "We don't let her take this." Mia, teary, climbed into my lap, her voice muffled against my shoulder. "Will we lose the bakery, Mommy? Where will we make cookies?" I hugged her tightly, promising, "We won't lose it, sweetheart," even as doubt gnawed at me. I wasn't a detective, but I'd save our legacy, for Mia, for Ben, for my parents' memory. After tucking Mia into bed, her crayon drawing of the bakery pinned to her wall, I started digging. I wasn't tech-savvy, but desperation made me methodical. I scoured the bakery's records, locked in a fireproof box in our office, finding no trace of a sale or co-manager agreement. Vanessa had access to our accounts for daily operations, but I'd never signed over authority. Then I remembered her work laptop, left open on the bakery's counter during a busy shift. I powered it up, guilt prickling but resolve stronger, and found a hidden email folder labeled business. Inside was a goldmine, a chain between Vanessa and a Sweetrise executive, where she pitched Maplewood Bakery as hers, attaching a forged letter of intent with my signature. Another email confirmed she'd received a $50,000 deposit, wired to her personal account. A text to a friend, buried in her messages, sealed it. "Laura's clueless. I'll cash out and be gone before she knows." My blood boiled. Vanessa hadn't just lied, she'd planned to steal our legacy, pocket the deposit, and leave us to face the fallout. I called Mr. Alan Pierce, our family lawyer who drafted Dad's will leaving the bakery to me. Alan, a gruff man who'd known Mom since high school, reviewed the emails I forwarded. "Her contract's fraud," he said, his voice sharp. "She forged your signature, which is a crime. You've got a case, but a lawsuit's slow. If you want impact, expose her where she struck at the fair." I agreed. Vanessa had used the fair's stage to humiliate us. I'd use it to reclaim our name, to show Cedar Grove the truth about the cousin I'd trusted like a sister. Over the next week, Ben and I became a team of amateur sleuths, working late into the night while Mia slept, her dreams safe from our turmoil. I printed Vanessa's emails, the forged contract, and her incriminating texts, each document time-stamped and backed up. Then, ever practical, contacted a Sweetrise regional manager, posing as a concerned vendor, and confirmed they'd paid Vanessa the deposit, believing her claim of ownership. The manager, alarmed, agreed to send a representative to the fair's final day to clarify the deal's status, a move that could bolster our case. We reached out to Mrs. Clara Hayes, a neighbor who'd been a regular since Mom's first batch of scones. Clara, sharp-eared at 70, had overheard Vanessa bragging at the diner about fooling the town and cashing in on the bakery. Ben recorded her statement discreetly, her voice steady as she recounted Vanessa's words. "I knew she was trouble," Clara said, her tone fierce. "Your mama would have had her hide. Alan helped us compile a folder, every document notarized, its pages a fortress of truth." Mia, sensing our determination, drew a picture of the bakery with ours written in crayon, her small hands pressing it into mine. "For the bad lady to see," she said, her faith my fuel. I also uncovered Vanessa's deeper motives. A call to an old friend in Albany revealed her event planning business was bankrupt, her debts piling up from unpaid vendors and a failed music festival. The bakery was her escape plan, a quick cash grab to flee Cedar Grove and start over. Her betrayal wasn't just greed, it was desperation, a choice to sacrifice family for survival. I felt a pang of pity, remembering the cousin who'd once taught me to ride a bike, but it didn't soften my resolve. The bakery was Mia's future, Ben's pride, my parents' legacy, and I'd fight for it with everything I had. The fair's final day was electric, the crowd larger, gossip about the bakery sales swirling like autumn leaves. Vanessa strutted to our booth, acting like the owner, her confidence unshaken, her blazer crisp as she schmoozed with customers. I watched from a distance, my stomach churning but my resolve steel. Mayor Tom Riley opened the main stage for community updates, his voice warm but wary, the town still reeling from Vanessa's announcement. I requested to speak, Ben standing beside me, his hand steadying mine, Mia clutching my other hand, her crayon drawing tucked in my pocket for luck. The Sweetries representative, Ms. Karen Walsh, sat in the front row, her presence a quiet ally. I stepped onto the stage, the folder heavy in my hands, the crowd's eyes pinning me. Vanessa lied, I said, my voice steady despite my racing heart. I passed the folder to Riley, its pages open to the forged contract. She forged my signature to sell our bakery, a legacy my parents built. I read her emails aloud, slow and clear, each word landing like a stone. Her pitch to Sweetries, her plan to cash out. I showed the forged signature, its loops to perfect, unlike my messy scrawl. I played Clara's recording, her voice cutting through the murmurs. Vanessa said she'd fool the town. The crowd gasped, heads turning to Vanessa, who stood frozen at the booth, her face draining of color. None of this is true, she cried, climbing the stage, her voice cracking. Laura's jealous, trying to sabotage me, but Riley's frown silenced her. He reviewed the folder, his eyes narrowing at the notarized documents, then nodded to Ms. Walsh. Sweetries was misled, Walsh said, standing. We're voiding the deal and pursuing legal action against Miss Carter. The crowd erupted, some booing Vanessa, others hugging me, their loyalty to Maplewood restored. Riley ruled the bakery hours, his gavel a final note. Vanessa slunk away, her head bowed, her scheme shattered in the fair's unforgiving light. Vanessa left Cedar Grove the next week, her SUV packed, her reputation in tatters. Word spread fast in our small town, and she became a cautionary tale, her name whispered with disdain at the diner, the market, the church. Sweetries sued her for the deposit, and rumors reached us that her debts had caught up, forcing her to move to Ohio, where she worked odd jobs, her dreams of grandeur gone. I didn't gloat, her downfall wasn't my joy. My joy was Maplewood Bakery, its ovens warm again, its counters piled high with fresh bread, its bell jingling with every customer. Mia's laughter echoed as she shaped cookies, Ben's ribs drew crowds at our community bake-off, and Clara's pies were a close second to our apple tart. The betrayal left scars. Vanessa had been family, her frosting smeared smiles a memory of cousinly warmth from our childhood. Losing that hurt, a reminder to guard what mattered. Ben, sensing my quiet moments, organized a bakery reopening party, inviting the town to celebrate our victory. Neighbors filled the shop, their support a bomb. Mayor Riley bought a dozen rolls, Clara shared stories of Mom, and Ms. Walsh ordered a cake for Sweetries' local office, a gesture of goodwill. Mia led a kids' decorating contest, her apron a badge of pride, her drawing of the bakery now framed above the register. I used some savings to expand the bakery, adding a cafe corner with tables crafted by a local carpenter, a space for families to linger over coffee and scones. Business thrived, tourists flocking to the bakery that fought back, our story a draw as much as our pastries. Ben took on more shifts at the bakery, his math skills streamlining our books, his warmth making every customer feel like family. Mia, now dreaming of her own recipes, started a kids' cookie club, teaching her friends to bake, her confidence a mirror of Mom's. A year later, Vanessa sent a letter, her handwriting shaky, postmarked from Cleveland. I'm sorry, Laura, she wrote. I was drowning in debt, and I lost myself. I hope you can forgive me someday. I read it under the bakery's twinkle lights, Ben beside me, Mia asleep upstairs. I didn't reply, not yet. The wound was still raw, but I kept the letter in Mom's recipe box, beside a photo of Vanessa and me as kids, licking spoons in the kitchen. It was a reminder that family can break but also heal, if time allows. One evening, as the sun set over Cedar Grove, painting the hills in hues of amber, I stood outside the bakery, its sign glowing. Ben wrapped his arm around me, Mia skipping ahead, chasing fireflies. We did it, he said, his voice soft. I nodded, my heart full. We did. The fair that nearly broke us became our triumph, a testament to the legacy we'd saved, not just a bakery, but a promise to Mia, to Mom, to Cedar Grove, built on truth stronger than any lie.